Hey guys, so today we are going to talk about self-promotion. So let's get into it. So the question in question is, Frederick, how do you feel about self-promoting? And to give you a bit of context, this person expressed on the comment section that basically feels that there's quite a lot of that going on CVs today, where people claim everything from being a workaholic to working 24/7 and giving it everything and being so-called geeks or like nerds and like true enthusiasts and all that good stuff, right? So when it comes to putting this on your CV, of course, like this person was claiming that he feels a little bit weird about it because he doesn't feel all that comfortable with it, but he has gotten the recommendation to put this sort of stuff on his CV to kind of sell his profile, if you will, because everybody else is doing it right. Now, the thing about this is that this is true to a point, but let me explain. You see, the problem with doing what we call self-promoting too is that it's a bit of a balancing act, because if you go too far on this, you will oversell your qualifications and your dedication and your potential or something of that nature. You will set expectations. Let's call it that. And if you undersell, nobody's going to contact you. That's basically the way it goes, right? But the thing that I think that we should really focus on here is the expectation setting. And you know, I've talked about this in a few videos about when I try to explain to you what is actually entailed in becoming a software developer, I've been basically saying that what I'm trying to give you is the correct expectations, and that's key. This is the most important thing that you can get when you're going down this journey, right? Because if you have the wrong expectations, the outcome of whatever you do is going to be warped, or rather your perception is going to be warped. An example is that, let's say for the sake of argument, that I invented something that makes somebody extremely fit, like a magic pill that gives you a six pack. Now, a person who spent most of their life trying to get into true shape and sees that, oh, okay, this pill is going to make that happen in, I don't know, half a year or something like that, is going to be astonished, because they understand that the amount of work that is entailed, that they're saving quite a lot of work by taking this magical pill. But say a new kid born today that gets sold the idea that it should happen in a week and doesn't have the patience to wait for 6 months will feel cheated, if that makes sense to you. The same thing goes for the CV, because if you state on your CV, if you just talk about how awesome you are and how hard you work and how much potential you have and all the skills and all that good stuff, when you come to the interviewing process, or when you come to the company, right, you're going to have to prove that somehow. And if you have oversold yourself, all that's going to happen is that you will have set false expectations for the recruiter or the employer, and you're going to crash and burn, because their expectations is that you are this magical person, or at the very least, they're going to, depending on how much you go in for this, they're going to doubt you pretty much, because there's, I mean, if you think you're the only one, as this person was pointing out, everybody does it, right? If you think that you're the only one that's self-promoting, you're not. But you also have to consider the culture impact as well here, because, I mean, in my region where I come from, self-promoting is kind of frowned upon. If you try to, unless you do it extremely tactfully, if you are very smooth, you're very, very subtle about it, you might get away with some self-promoting, but for the most part, it's not the way to go. And I will argue that I think that when it comes to self-promotion, I think that the best approach to this sort of thing is not to, just talk about how great you are to make you don't do a sales pitch in this overt, hey, I'm pretty good at what I do type of way. It's more, I think it's more about trying to very clearly convey that you have potential, and that have potential, and that you're genuine. That sort of thing is like, it's a much better approach to things, because it's easier for you to sustain this. I mean, quite a lot of naive developers or people who want to get into this industry, they focus, and I get it, I understand that it is important for the first job and so forth, but just like let's just kind of think about the long term here. If you go heavy on the self-promoting on the CV, and you try to sell this idea that you're really good at what you do and you can't deliver, what do you think is going to happen? If you go into, even if you manage somehow to fake the fact that, I mean, if you're a master at expressing yourself through words, you write an amazing CV, you go to the interview, you do an absolutely amazing interviewing process, and then you're actually going to start working at this company, unless you can actually walk the walk, you will be fired within a very short time period. Because the thing is, guys, do you think that like all these interviews and tests and all this stuff that we go through to get jobs as developers is just for fun? Of course it's not for fun, guys. You need to be able to do the job. That's the whole point. Nobody cares if you, like, it doesn't matter how good you are at interviewing if you cannot perform the work, and you will get fired. And I can promise you it's a lot worse to get fired as a software developer than it is to not get the job. Because if you get fired after just a few weeks of working, that's a big black stain on your CV. It's a very bad thing. So what I argue is that you go, as I said, more towards, instead of thinking of self-promoting, because trust me, the thing that the recruiters are looking at is not the sentences that you write about yourself, about how awesome you are. That's the thing that you just skim through. You don't care about that at all. The thing that a recruiter or a person hiring developers is going to look for is, number one, proof of skill. What do you have on your CV that is more than words? Because having a 3-page essay on how amazing you are, or how you backpacked through Europe, or all this other irrelevant bullshit is not going to be the thing that people look at. They don't care about that in the first section of things. That's almost irrelevant to them. What they care about is, as I said, what do you have that proves that you are good at what you do, that you are a pleasant person, somebody who might be a good culture fit. In other words, do you have the right attitude towards software development? Are you a level-headed person, a pragmatic person? Are you an enthusiastic person, somebody who actually has, I mean, a normal individual that seems to be the sort of person that has the potential to actually do some really great work? And then after that, the other stuff may become relevant, but that's the stuff that people are really interested in. So what I want you to take away from this is basically that if you're going to write a CV where you want to lift something up and do some form of self-promoting and structure things in a proper way, try to actually have things that are relevant and has proofs. Think of it as proof. Go for proof of skill or dedication, or that you have the right mindset about software development. An example is, I mean, if you have a sales pitch, if you have a sales pitch on your CV where you sell the idea that you are a super developer, but then your portfolio is a bunch of basic to-do apps and some coding challenge type of things, then you're complete. I mean, nobody's gonna listen. Nobody's gonna call such a person. Nobody will call you. I promise you that they won't, because you're selling the idea that you're a master programmer, but your proof doesn't reflect that. What it reflects is that you're an amateur, an absolute beginner who has a lot of big words. But on the other hand, every single job recruiter out there, every recruiter will want to call is an individual that has a very, I guess, a fairly realistic, or I'm not saying humble, but a genuine CV explaining that, yeah, I really enjoy what I do, and here's the proof. And the proof contains original projects, things where you can very clearly see that this person does their own type of development. They have all their own ideas, and they show a genuine interest in what they're doing. They've taken some extra courses by themselves, and they've studied they have some cool stuff going on. Not because they're necessarily out there to impress somebody, but just because they find it interesting. That's the thing that is going to make you a very attractive candidate to contact. But just blabbing a bunch of stuff about how awesome you are, nobody's going to buy it. I mean, words are cheap. Remember that. Words are cheap. but proof of skill and dedication is the thing that is going to make the difference. Have a great day.